let's get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is Vikram Rai. I'm the president of Bangalore Apartment Federation. So today we have the opportunity to host the latest edition of what we call our campaign called Every Vote Matters. Most of you would know that I think last a year back as well, approximately, on the context of the assembly elections, also we ran the Every Vote Matters campaign. The purpose of the Every Vote Matters campaign was very specific, right? Our intention was to bring a greater degree of connect, engagement, and relationship building with political parties, candidates of all flavors, because that relationship builds trust, and there is a lot of opportunity to then discuss and issue topics, themes, concerns on an ongoing basis. So it just doesn't become a election time conversation. It's rather a long-term conversation on various topics, themes, inputs. Actually, I'm very happy to note that our edition of the campaign, which started during the assembly election,
done.
Gave us a good context to build this relationship with multiple political parties. I must admit that most of the mainstream parties were kind enough to, we had at that point of time published what we call an apartment residence charter. Many of those points found resonance and acceptance by political parties who carried it in their manifestos, which I think was the first sign of engaging proactively and recognizing various strategic issues. So I'm thankful to all the parties who did that last time. And that actually gave us a basis for continuing the conversation and engagement, which we did right through last year, both with the state government, with the opposition party, etc. So there is a framework around engagement, right? And I'm very happy to also share with you all that through the last year, I think the basis of that engagement has also started helping look at issues incrementally, strategically, and then move towards solutions, policy updates, etc. One such example I'm very happy to share. Very recently, for the longest period of time, we've been bringing together some bit of thinking around the whole aspect and theme of water treatment, treated use water, looking at the overall environmental sort of load of the city. How can we all participate and bring in policies and practices which will be more meaningful to the city? One such topic has found reasonable resonance. So we recently had a policy which got updated where the number of units of an apartment complex which needs to implement an STP saw a revision which had more ecological and economic reasoning attached to it, a long-standing policy change which we were requesting for happened. And we also got a complementary policy which said from now onwards, the treated water from apartment STPs can be taken and reused in a marketplace kind of an approach. I think that's a great example of there being incremental engagement with a lot of research, etc., thrown in on how policy updates can happen. And that fundamentally also arose from the relationship building which happened during the last edition of the Every Vote Matters campaign. So we believe that approach is important, both from our own citizens, members, residents' point of view, as well as the political dispensation to maintain that relationship. So, which is what we want to encourage, and today's conversation also is in that direction. Today we are at the cusp of the general elections, Lok Sabha elections. Hence, we are conducting Every Vote Matters campaign edition of it for the Lok Sabha election, and I'm happy to know that we have got wonderful response from again all not all in this election. There is principally two. It's a two-horse race. So we have both the principal sides who have very enthusiastically connected, engaged with us, continuing to talk with us. And today is a great occasion for having invited all our candidates. We are principally represented on this city by 4 constituencies, primarily. If you look at the greater Bangalore, Bangalore North, Bangalore Central, Bangalore South, and Bangalore Rural. So we have had the opportunity to reach out to candidates across all these constituencies and invite them for a chat. to get to know them, to get to know their vision. Of course, because this is Lok Sabha elections, the issues, topics, themes are slightly wider, larger, has a larger context. But at the end of the day, we are still in Bangalore, the city of what we are all residents of what we love. So, and hence, I think the context and vision and sort of listening to candidates on what do they have as a plan, as their vision for Bangalore, which we are all part of, will be very, very interesting to know. I once again thank Professor Gowda there. I see Soumya Reddy has also joined. Thank you, Soumya, a lot for your time. Without further ado, a few ground rules. Like I said, this is a conversation. We want more and more to know the candidates. We want more citizens to know the candidates, and hence it's a bit of a freewheeling conversation on their own thoughts and inputs. It's about the city, about the people, about the role of Bangalore in the context of the country. So we will keep the conversation, and of course, I'm sure all the candidates know that they are under the obligation of the Model Code of Conduct. We don't need to share that with them, and hence this conversation also has the obligations of maintaining that implications. For our own participants and members as well, I think, let us use this opportunity to have a professional conversation. Let's hear our candidates out. And I'm sure there will also be opportunities for them to meet you all. We're trying as much as possible if we can facilitate more localized conversations, meet them, our jote sambhashne ಮಾಡಿ, ಮಾತಾಡಿ, ನಮ್ಮ candidates, we should get motivated by them. They should get motivated by us. So I would also push in a request over here saying that in the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, at least from BAF's point of view, some of your cluster leaders, etc., will try to organize local meetups, invite the candidates to have conversations over there. So please do welcome them, have conversations, ask your questions, share your dreams. And I'm sure that, they are very, very astute people. They will remember, they will continue to connect and then move forward. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our moderator of the day, Mr. Nanjunda, famously known as the founder of Kannada.com. What a contextual and relevant platform to have this conversation. Thank you, Nanjunda Avare, for having agreed to do this. I will now leave it in your hands to navigate the next set of conversations. I think we have Professor Gowda already who came in, and we have Soumya as well. So you can pick the sequence and take it forward from there. Thank you. Good luck. Best wishes to all the candidates, and let's have a good election.
My pleasure, Vikram. Thank you. Namaskara, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ. Now, I think we'll go with first come, first serve, if that's okay. Professor Rajiv Gowda. Namaskara, sir. Welcome once again. And pleasure to meet you offline or online always. Sir, we don't want to indulge in introducing someone like you. And also, we believe that our audience are extremely well-informed people. So want to start with the point as why Professor Rajiv Gowda as a candidate. So maybe I'd like to indulge you in making a pitch for the audience before we start with the question. So,
okay,
sir,
thank you. Well, actually, I'm here along with Soumya Reddy and possibly Mansoor Ali Khan will be joining us as Team Bengaluru, okay, along with DK Suresh in rural as well. We are a group of people who the party has fielded, a group of people who have diverse backgrounds. I'm a professor, politician, parliamentarian. Soumya is an activist. Mansoor is an educationist. Suresh has a tremendous track record of service on the ground. So we bring diverse sets of strengths to the table. Anyway, complementary, and there's tremendous synergy between us. And about myself, I have been a professor at IIM Bangalore for 14 years. I have a PhD in public policy and management. And then I was a director of the RBI, and then a member of parliament at the Rajya Sabha. But in this context, my most important role has been as the founder chairman of the Karnataka Congress apartment cell. We've had a chance to work together with all of you. And, I also head the AICC research department. But I took on a state role because I said this is where the action is. This is where the new Bengaluru is emerging. And we have to make sure that apartment residents, I am an apartment resident myself. I live in Swasa off Bull Temple Road in Baswangudi. I also have enough expertise in policy, urban policy, planning, urban development issues, etc. So I am fully committed to denser, higher rise, neighborhoods which would facilitate public transport, which would facilitate concentration of investments of infrastructure that would enable everyone to have wonderful quality of life, right? If you think along those lines, then was a planning paradigm, what we've been implementing, and the fact that we haven't had a new master plan for a while, all of these are real challenges. And then, of course, in the course of our interaction over the last year, we've understood more of your challenges and problems. We've already started addressing many of them, and I'm sure we're going to get to that fairly soon. As far as I'm concerned, I'm one of you. I want to make sure that all of us, okay, those who live in apartments and those who are part of the emerging Bengaluru, all end up with a better quality of life, wonderful infrastructure, have enjoyable cultural, economic, sports, experience in an environment-friendly, sustainable city that would allow us all to prosper together.
Sir, how do we start now? ಮೊದಲು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂನ್ಸಿಯಿಂದ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋದಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋದಾ?
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ನಾನು ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡೋಣ. So just go back, right? Basically, about a year ago, we founded this apartment cell. For us, working with BAF and with a few other entities that represent people living in apartments has been a very good learning experience. It's been an experience that has allowed us to reach out to much larger numbers of people because you've done the hard work of organizing the apartments already. I mean, not every one of them, of course. Now, so when we interacted, we discovered, that there are numerous challenges that people faced. For example, with regard to ownership, right? Under what law should you, register? How do you get your, undivided share in your name? Khata-related issues, lots of issues came up. So we have initiated a committee that includes BAF representatives. This last year, because it's been, while we finished one election, we were on to preparation for the next. So it hasn't been as, smooth in implementation as we would have liked. And the committee has been broadly constituted. The GO is yet to be announced, but we've been in discussions. And the government, when we discussed this internally, you've seen that the government, the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Shiv Kumar, who's in charge of Bengaluru, has made the statements that we are going to fix these particular issues. We also said that we will try and create a Sakala-like solutions. And while that is also a work in progress, we've had the DCM himself coming around every area of Bengaluru and asking people to come and raise their concerns, and then having the assembled officers address them right away. But as Vikram pointed out earlier, we've been making moves that actually make wonderful sense for the city, for apartment owners as well, apartment residents as well. See, previously, and some of you who are part of the Bengaluru Nagarika Party, or, I've forgotten the exact name, they were all concerned about smaller apartment units having to install a STP, right? Many of them were older, they didn't have the space or the resources. And what we've done is recently we've passed a new law, or we've worked out a new arrangement where instead of a 20-unit apartment having to install an STP, we've said, no, only a 120-unit apartment would have to do that, right? So this way, the burden on the older, smaller apartments is reduced, and the ones that have the scale and and the economies of scale are the ones who are going to be asked to do help the government with this particular process. We've even incentivized that by allowing treated water to be sold by these by these larger units, and that also is economic. It makes economic sense. It also reduces the burden on Kaveri water. So that's just one example of how we've stepped forward, and as a government, we've addressed one of the key concerns of people who live in apartments. There are other issues as well, but I wanted to highlight this. And by the way, I don't want to take credit for it alone. The credit actually goes to all of you who've been pushing for these kinds of creative win-win solutions. And so that's why this apartment cell, the fact that we have this bridge with all of you, makes eminent sense for us, because however smart and knowledgeable and well-read we may be, we all have to learn from the experiences of all of you, what challenges you're facing. And of course, there are water-related issues and numerous other things. But this is I'm just giving you a broad sense of how we've been dealing with these kinds of issues, how we've responded to what you've said. And indulge me for one more minute. Okay, if you look at what we promised in our action agenda during the assembly election, we also said we would focus on first and last mile connectivity, enhancing first and last mile connectivity to public transport. Okay, and I personally, when I was vice chairman of the Planning Commission, I led the move to introduce metro feeder buses in Bengaluru. The first one. We had to get the government to cooperate, the political leadership to support, and then we launched it when the Purple Line got connected, right? We launched this from Kiarpuram to Silk Board. And after that, seeing how it makes eminent sense, the BMTC has launched this across many, many, many different stations. And the whole idea is that anyone should be able to walk to the main road and get a predictable, reliable, quick loop bus that will get you to the nearest metro station. Once we do that, then people don't have to battle traffic. Then the load on the road comes down, and people will be going to work fresher and in a more productive manner. So just to give you a couple of examples of how we've been taking some of the issues and implementing them in a way that would benefit everyone.
Very well, sir. So I'll just, in the interest of time, I'll run straight into Bangalore North. So, Nimma opinion ali, top two needs of Bangalore North that are currently unmet, and top two will take. And how do you propose to address them from your perspective?
So ಒಂದು ಈ fundamental needs ಅಂತೀವಲ್ಲ, traffic issues, water issues. These are two that come to mind as mega priorities. Traffic, for example, the Hebbal flyover as a mega choke point, right? We're going to be adding more lanes to the Hebbal flyover. We're going to be widening the road from Makery Circle, those lanes that are going to come up in the, on the side of the palace. All of these will happen. Progress is already being made. And so some easing of flow will happen, of traffic flow. However, as population increases and as the population of vehicles increase, this becomes a temporary solution. But we have Number Metro Phase 3A, which will run on the same road to the airport, right? So how quickly can we push through that phase? How much can we do to get basically first and last mile connectivity so that people start using the metro rather than using private transport. Bengaluru Uttaradalli ಆಗ್ಲೇ 3 ಲೈನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದೋ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪೀಣ್ಯಾಗ ಹೋಗೋ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಲೈನು, ಈ ಕಡೆ KR-ಪುರಂಗೆ ಹೋಗೋ ಪರ್ಪಲ್ ಲೈನು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಉತ್ತರ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ದಕ್ಷಿಣಕ್ಕೂ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಲೈನ್ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದು 15 ನಿಮಿಷ ಕಾರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಉತ್ತರ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರನೇ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಆರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಆಶ್ರಮ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲೇ ನಮಗೆ ಇದಿದೆ ಏನೋ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು 15 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಸಬರ್ಬನ್ ರೈಲ್, ಉಪನಗರ ರೈಲು ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಅನೇಕ ಜನ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಬರ್ಬನ್ ರೈಲ್ as quickly as possible ಅಂತ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. KRI is a project that the government has set up, central state partnership project to implement suburban rail. Because I firmly believe that when we talk about public transport, we need a bouquet, we need a portfolio of possibilities for people, right? And so a good modern mega city like Bengaluru must have, buses, must have metro, must have suburban rail. And when this suite come together, then we would be in a sweet spot where people would prefer public transport over private. That's where we're trying to go. Anyway, that's on the traffic transportation issue and my own role there for that matter. Then when it comes to water, right? We have, when I say we, I don't want to take personal blame for this, but governments over the years are responsible for not preserving our heritage of lakes and interconnected lakes, etc. Right? The previous governments have drained lakes, tanks, and turned them, into lakes. And those are the ones that get flooded because that's where the water goes, and so basically, when we say we are part of the problem, I do emphasize that we all need to emphasize rainwater harvesting and implement it. We all need to, especially apartments, we have the possibility, in my apartment, I know we do it, to reuse treated water, right? To have 2 plumbing lines. Every new apartment must have this, right? And reuse kitchen treated water, etc., for non-potable purposes, for washing cars, whatever, right? And for gardening. So all of that is eminently possible. And now we even allow for that treated water to be sold for industrial purposes, etc. Right? So if we start being smarter about how we work with water, then I think we have an opportunity to live and sustain ourselves with the amount of rain that falls, which is actually sufficient for even a larger Bengaluru. But we need to harvest that rainwater. We need to revive our tank and lake ecosystem. We need to make sure that groundwater is recharged, and we need to make sure that water does not, flow so rapidly as to cause floods and damage. Right? So there is a certain amount of scientific, sort of ways of slowing the movement of water, measures that we need to put in. So we're aware of this. We're working on these dimensions, and they all make sense from the larger climate change point of view, because if we can find a way to work with and preserve our water sources, then we will become more of a sponge city, a city that can absorb, excess rains that may come as a result of climate change. We may be able to work with, we may be able to harvest that water in a manner where, there are enough examples of people in Bengaluru who do not need water from the BWSSB. They've learned to put in place the infra to, to be off the grid, literally, water grid, right? Like that, we, in apartments especially, reviving, groundwater, all these sorts of things are things that are eminently feasible. Everyone wants to take the easier route of, Kaveri, fifth phase and all that. That will also come, but, we have a responsibility to go out there and do our part.
Sir, nearly 4,800 new projects have been approved in Bangalore North alone since last year. So, if we keep adding up this kind of population, how do you see that we even manage traffic? I mean, how many buses and metros, how many layers of metro?
Yeah.
So
let me
when you as a politician say stop this kind of project approval, because we don't seem to have a town planning from a density point of view, right? So how do you propose to address it?
Okay, so let me just break it down into 2 parts, right? First, if people want to move to the city, which is an economic magnet, the brains of India come to Bengaluru, because this is the place, the ecosystem where the startup world flourishes, where there's so much talent that people can very quickly scale up companies and grow. We have so much intellectual capital here in the form of institutions, etc., that people come here and they keep coming here. All right. Where they used to once come to retire as pensioners, now they're coming because of the opportunity that Bengaluru presents. So we can't stop that engine. What we can do is figure out how to, harness the growth in a manner that is, that ensures prosperity, sustainability, inclusion, all of those dimensions that are very important for us in the Congress Party and for me personally. Now, when I was in the Planning Commission, I launched a concept called regional development planning. Okay, basically saying, look, if we want to alleviate that growth that you're talking about, okay, or manage it better, we need to understand where people are working and see how people can live closer to work, right? So if people are working in Dobaspete, if people are working in Hoskote or Narsapura, these are all industrial hubs. There's a lot of jobs there, right? What do? They take a bus in the morning and spend 1.5 hours to 2 hours each way commuting to work, right? Why do they continue to live here rather than next door to work? Because there are no schools or other facilities necessarily where the jobs are, right? So basically, I have argued that, and I've talked to the Niti Aayog in the center. I talked to the Telangana government. I'll just explain why. My basic argument is that we need to think in a broader regional frame, right? If you start Dobaspete and you come all the way past KGF and and then go south, you will, including Hosur and Krishnagiri, you can picture a rectangle that is interstate, but there are numerous hubs there. In between those hubs is where the newer development of the city should take place, where people can access 2-3 locations without and where there's already tremendous infrastructure. There are national highways, there's railways, there's a lot of stuff that's already out there, right? Now, and then suburban rail will also be helpful for those dimensions. If we start doing that, then the projects and the growth and the pressure on the existing Bengaluru, especially Bengaluru North, will come down to some extent or will be balanced a little bit more. Because otherwise, it's a tremendous waste in the city that people go all the way through the city for work or for education. Most of the trips are on that front, right? Staying closer to work would probably make better sense. I mentioned Telangana because this is not just our government is all about being beyond Bengaluru as well, and there I've proposed Bidar, Zahirabad, Hyderabad corridor.
Well, in fact, I would also like to request you to stay back even to field questions on Congress and city in general, because we're going to have now Ms. Soumya Reddy to come in so that she could talk about her constituency, but we would like you to stay in and pitch in whenever for the city and the state and the national perspective from the party as well.
All right, I'll be here. Yeah,
wonderful.
I might switch off my video for a bit, but I'll come back.
Sure, wonderful, and thank you so much for being here.
ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಈ ಕೆಲಸಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನೀವು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ತಲುಪಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಕೆಲಸ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
BAF team, sir. Well, Vikram, can you please introduce Ms. Soumya Reddy before we bring her on to the conversation?
Soumya Reddy, I saw her. She had joined in. Is she on the call?
The name Ajay M is actually Soumya. I thought I saw her in a car.
Can you hear us?
So, I'll just call her.
Mansoor ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೌಮ್ಯ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? Mansoor ಅವರೇ
Ajay M ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, so maybe you can
I'll just
unmute them.
Hi, I'm Mansoor Khan. I'm available here.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮನ್ಸೂರ್ ಅವರೇ.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಮನ್ಸೂರ್ ಜೊತೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ I'll reach Soumya.
Okay, so Nanjud ಅವರೇ, I think we can go ahead. ಮನ್ಸೂರ್ ಅವರು loud and clear, visible ಇದೆ. Thank you, Mansoor ಅವರೇ. First time candidate for Bangalore Central. Good luck, best wishes, sir. Thank you for joining.
Thank
It
you.
is a very interesting, again, Professor Gowda ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ constituencies are all very differently shaped. So the central constituency, I think, extends up to Mahadevpura and multiple other Chamrajpet, Rajajinagar Bharate, some part of it, etc. So noted educationist, of course, DPS Samsthegala Sanchalakru. So good to have you, sir, join with us. And
thank you.
we'll hand it over to Nanjunda Avaru to have some conversation on 10 ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ perspectives, etc. And then we'll move forward from there. Nanjunda, over to you.
Namaskara, Mansur ಅವರೇ.
Namaskara.
Welcome to the conversation. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wish you all the best as well. Sir, ನಾವು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗೆ, can you first make a pitch as to why should people vote for Mansur Ali Khan? Why should you be the candidate for Bangalore Central constituency?
See, first of all, I'll give you a brief background about myself. I am an educationist who is involved with a few prominent institutions. And I have been in the field of education 20 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು field of educationally. And before that also, I have been involved mainly in the education sector. And is it okay if I give you a brief background about me?
Sir, just to put the context, ನಮ್ಮ audience are very, very well-informed people, and I assure you that everybody will look you up or perhaps already have looked up.
Okay.
So, Hagagi, if you can jump straight into the conversation.
Okay, I'll tell you. See, I have been born and brought up in Bengaluru. And one of the most important constituency is Bangalore Central Lok Sabha parliamentary constituency, where it gives us a lot of revenues generated from this constituency. And what's happening in this constituency, and of late you see about the Bangalore development, the infrastructure, the facilities, it has been going down, and it's become a real problem for the average citizens. So my agenda for the Bangalore Central Lok Sabha constituency is, first, we need to get the Bangalore back what it used to be. If you see Bangalore, this part of Bangalore or Bangalore in general, the population has increased 3 times more in the last 15 years. So how are we going to solve these problems, and what are we going to do? One big advantage about, I at least feel, is I'm a very accessible person. I have felt that I have to be more of a listener, and I know the role, what an MP can do, what an MLA can do, and what a corporator can do. And coming to Bangalore Central Lok Sabha constituency, at this point of time, we have a huge water crisis. We have a crisis of green cover over there. We have massive traffic problems. We have flooding. Then we have various other issues in the constituency. So I planned to have a particular vision and progress for the constituency.
So, sir, well, to the audience, I must tell you that we have lots of questions from you, and we'll be picking some, and not able to name any of you. So, adike bejar madkolbedi. And also, we may miss out many of the questions or some of the questions that you have put forth. So, please don't feel bad about it. And hopefully, we will have a Q&A session where we can take up more of those questions. So, Ivaga, considering Mansur Aure,
Yes.
back to you. Considering that, assuming that you will be the member of parliament from Bangalore Central, how do you propose to make yourself approachable, and how much could we rely on? This is one of the questions from our audience. How much could we rely on you for matters of Mahadevpura constituency once you win?
See, first and foremost, as an MP, I should be accessible to my electorate. And yes, definitely, I will not be accessible when the parliament is on. because I realize when the most important aspect of the MP is that to be available at the parliamentary sessions and this thing. Other than that, I would like to be the facilitator between the center and state, between the MLAs and corporators, because my main duty as a parliamentarian will be to make sure that I get enough facilities from the center and state, and enough funds and grants for the MLAs or corporators to have access to that. And I should, and because if an MP is active and issues are sorted, for example, new area like Mahadevpura, Belandur, and Varthur, and all of those areas require funds. For the funds to be available, you need to have a system in place. Your BBMP elections and other things have to happen in time. So, as an MP, that would be one of my main primary jobs, to make sure all these things are held in time, and it can't be the elections may happen. It has to be the elections shall happen. So because there is a limitation of an MP can't get into the basic ground level what a corporator would do, or rather what an MLA would do. But nonetheless, the MP also should be accessible and should be visible on ground, because today Bangalore and especially Mahadevpura and other areas require that sort of attention, because they are generating the revenue for the city and for the state and for the country. So in this, very important issue would be also my tax, my right. For the amount of generation of revenue from Mahadevpura and central area, the funds should be replowed back to have the proper infrastructure and facilities for the citizens.
Sir, how do you propose to ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಇವಾಗ in fact before I could ask problems ಏನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ in primary you already identified them. So how do you propose to address it, given that in Bangalore Central nearly 2,000 new projects are happening? It's only going to go further on it. So Professor gave a very obviously clear and progressive statement in terms of we cannot stop the population coming into city. Bengaluru ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದೆ. But where do you stand? What is your take? Will you say that we should stop at least Bengaluru Central ಗೆ projects approve ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
ಆ ತರ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್, ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಮೈಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ, ಬಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮೈಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಮಹದೇವಪುರ, ಬೆಲಂದೂರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಾರ್ಥಹಳ್ಳಿ ಸೈಡ್ ಆರ್ ಮಹದೇವಪುರ ಸೈಡ್, ನೀವು ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು, ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 5 years, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ 10 years ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು, ವೈ ಕಾಂಟ್ ವಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಸ್ಯಾಟಲೈಟ್ ಟೌನ್ಶಿಪ್ಸ್? ಒಂದು ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಆ ಸ್ಯಾಟಲೈಟ್ ಟೌನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಫಾರ್ 5 years, maybe what happens in Mahadevpura, how we plan it up, and then further down go and develop satellite townships. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಬೇಕು, ವಿಷನ್ ಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಟಾಸ್ಕ್ ಆಫ್ ದ member of parliament. Sit along with the central and state governments, plan for these things. And member of parliament should be a pressure group ತರ ಇರಬೇಕು. Irrespective, he may not be able to go to a level where what's the drainage system and all that, but he has enough influence and ability to influence policy matters. He has access to the people who matter. So my solution would be short term, medium term and long term solution ಅಲ್ಲಿ we have to think, because one saturation point reach ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಇವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ is at such a rapid place, you have lost space for the lakes encroachment ಇದೆ, you've lost there's no space. You tell me, in Mahadevpura side, where you can proudly say you have good parks, where you have, and what we've been doing, we have literally choked that part with unsustained development. Parks illa, neer kashta agbidide alli, and we have not gone in a proper manner. So that's the reason we need to start developing satellite township developments in the longer run. And
sorry, ನೀವು last question, do you as a first time member of parliament, do you see ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು clout ಇದೆಯಾ to be able to influence or get your party to back you with lot of these stands, because ನಿಮ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನೇ ಪವರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ?
ನೋಡಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ, ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ you finally, it's not about your clout, it is your what intention, what if you are really passionate and intention idre, it is if it's making sense for the city, and finally somebody will have to bell the cat.
Wonderful, sir. Uh, Lovely to hear that. And please do stay back
And
to.
I think even our Congress manifesto says a lot of things about, if you, maybe I'll send you all a copy. In the new manifesto, you can just have a look at these.
Yes, please. And in fact, it's also available, and I think it is shared as well. But thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, and do stay back for questions. Vikram, can you please bring in?
ಸೌಮ್ಯ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಸೌಮ್ಯ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? ಸೌಮ್ಯ ರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? I think she joined. I saw her name again. Again, I'm missing her name. Okay. In the meantime, and this is a question, sorry, ನಂಜುಂಡ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ನನ್ನ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ. ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ಪುಷ್ ಥ್ರೂ. ಮನ್ಸೂರ್ ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ವರ್ಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ನಾನು ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಥ್ರೋ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಟು ಬೋತ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಗೌಡ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟರ್ಸ್? Political will to and you rightly said, because that layer of governance has to be active on an ongoing basis. Operational agility barodu ಆ level ಅಲ್ಲಿ. But we have not seen the commitment coming from all sides of the political dispensation on moving forward on that. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು thinking, and as MPs, I'm sure, I mean, this is a mandate that you will have to, like you said, you have to be a pressure group. So what can we expect on that front, Mansoor avare?
See, we have to fix the 74th amendment to BBMP. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು, ಶಾಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು, ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು.
Absolutely.
Will ನಲ್ಲಿ there is a lot of difference. Shall can go on for years together. Will compulsory, and it elections may happen anta helteve. Elections shall happen. So that will be a big governance issue, because see what happens if these things are not fixed. The cities, the urban areas will always remain in a limbo. We will not be able to fix the problems. So adik helodu, the role of the member of parliament is very, very important in framing policies, legislations, and laws. It may sound what one MP can do or what one Mansoor can do, but if somebody on the floor of the parliament makes such noises and makes, because definitely others are forced to acknowledge these, and these are real issues ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. Because 15 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿ, fantastic progress you can say, but where are the civic amenities ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ, accountability ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ? So these are the issues I would I want to talk about.
Fair enough, sir. ನೀವು ಥಿಯರಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಶಲ್ ಅಂತ, ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್
maybe ಇವರು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್
ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Is there a will power post this Lok Sabha elections? Generally, I'm asking. I mean, I'm asking with all.
Yes, I understand.
Saying that I think the people of the city have been robbed of their right to have local governance, and all political dispensations is culpable on that for various reasons. We understand the challenges, pushes, pull, etc. But we believe that I think post this Lok Sabha election, it cannot and should not be delayed at all. So my, question and request goes back to that since you are all candidates who will, like you rightly said, have to be the pressure group, right? And across party lines, right? To say that, there has to be the right of the citizens which has to be done. So my request is, yes, I think there has to be a very, very compelling, at least through the conversation of this elections. My request is that, please do compelling commitments on working towards bringing that right to the people. I think that will be a very, very important commitment to make. I'm sure people will, overwhelmingly endorse any commitment coming on their basis. So I think Soumya ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. Soumya, are you on the call? Nanjunda avare, do you want to go ahead with any, one or two, audience questions which is coming in as well?
Oh, Very well. In fact, Nimma question, I was just wondering if we can get some response from Professor Rajiv Gowda, because he is also the, has a larger mandate from the party as such. So, sir, are you there? And also, if you can join in for the questions in the meantime as well.
I think is briefly out, but let's move forward. Even generic question.
Okay.
There is Mansoor ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
Huh.
Maybe one or two we can intersperse with participant questions as well.
So, Mansoor, one more question. Are we to vote for the better candidate or the better party? What are your thoughts?
See, for better party and better candidate, you have to vote. Okay. But as a candidate, you have to see the candidate, you have to see the mandate, and it is very important. You have to see the track record. See, when somebody gowns for 15 years or more, or even 5 years, there is because tomorrow you have to question what is the performance, what's happened, XYZ, and this thing. Tomorrow, if I am elected also, if I have not performed my duty, the citizens have the right to make the change. So, because first basic things come, because if I represent my parliamentary constituency, I owe to my voters that I take their interest. So I personally feel it is extremely important to vote for the candidate along with the party. See, because if you say only it goes hand, you can't just say I will vote for the party, however bad the candidate is. Then finally, definitely you will bear the brunt of it on various levels. But if you see the intent, accessibility, vision of the candidate will be very important, because tomorrow you may send a candidate for the sake of the party, but it may not necessarily happen that your interests are protected in the parliament.
So, have you started planning in terms of what issues you would like to take up in the parliament as a member of parliament? Because many a parliament who rarely even ask questions.
See, definitely I would take up issues in the parliament. One of the issues I would take up in the parliament is the tax issue. Then I would also like to take up issue like we need to have laws, and the laws should be implemented at a very, very, for example, when we make our cities, we need to have our green laws in place, and those I would like to, and I would really like to focus a lot on the education policy of our country.
Sir, in that context, there is one specific question, perhaps very relevant also, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು educationist, right? You run schools. Our question is no control on private school tuition fees. So this is by one Mr. Arnab Das. So cost of education is becoming a barrier. As an MP, how are you planning to address this?
See, this is a very good question. When we say no control of fees by private schools, see, we have to have a system where we have, now, for example, you have government schools and you have private schools. Again, these two things, for example, the government also needs to come up with a quality education system, quality schools, where today the problem of mushrooming private schools is because the government all over the country, I'm telling, have failed in providing quality primary education centers where we can have good infrastructure, good facilities. Because as a country, what we have failed, we have not put enough in the we said that we required 6% investment of GDP into the education sector, but we have not crossed any. At the best time, we have not crossed nearly from more than 2.5%. So we need to
really appreciate your response. I mean, ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದಾದ್ರೆ potentially first damage will be to your own business.
See, I'm not. But, see, I'll tell you one thing. Let me continue. Let me finish. I will tell you. Even for private players play a very, very important role in the education system at this point of time. But anybody, let it be private or government or anything. So there has to be, for example, if somebody, there has to be a democratic setup where the state is providing quality primary education. And if others feel, other than the state, they want to have a education option where they want to select one particular school, but in mind, they should be, we can't discount the private education sector as well. Both go hand in hand. That's also an important sector. But
Fair.
commercialization of education should not happen. You need to sit with the stakeholders where you come up with a policy which is fair and square. Either you are not trying to hurt and finish off the private education system, because some of them are doing very fantastic jobs. So it has to be, both should coexist, but they should not be commercialization of education.
Correct. I think also perhaps this can be a independent discussion itself, and you are a very right candidate to do that as well. So hopefully we'll get to talk about it. Once again,
I think Soumya or Matte
Vikram.
ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Soumya ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ?
Please.
Fantastic. We can see her nice and bright now. Thank you, Soumya Aure, for joining us and giving your time. Soumya Reddy, of course, first time Lok Sabha candidate. Now we have seen her as MLA of Jayanagar last.
Excuse me, sorry, I have to leave. Hi, Soumya, how are you?
Hi, you're on mute, Soumya Aure. You'll have to just unmute, I think.
I have a campaign to go. Can I take leave?
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Always
All
say,
the best.
let every vote matter, let the best candidate.
Thank you.
ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿನಾಯಕ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ನಮ್ಮ ವಾರ್ಡ್ನಾಗ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಈಗ?
ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಯಾರು ಪ್ಲೀಸ್.
ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಆಂಜನಪ್ಪ.
Okay.
ಆಂಜನಪ್ಪ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ.
Good morning, sir.
ಸೀರಿಯಲ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂತಾನ ಬರೀ.
ಇನ್ನು
Good morning, Soumya ಅವರೇ, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
She's on mute.
I think she's on mute.
Soumya ಅವರೇ, can you unmute yourself? Soumya ಅವರೇ, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Are you able to hear us? Okay. You'll have to unmute yourself, Soumya ಅವರೇ. Your voice is not coming in, though you have unmuted. Yeah.
Soumya left.
Okay. No, she's there, but I think her voice is not coming through, Soumya ಅವರೇ. ನಿಮ್ದು audio ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Although we will have to log in. Try re-logging in, Soumya. Nim voice ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Unfortunately. Yeah, just if you can just re-log in. Yeah. ಈ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ Soumya ಅವರೇ. Can you hear us?
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you, Soumya ಅವರೇ, for joining us today, for your time.
Thank you so much. Apologies, I'm actually in the middle of a Koramangala RWA meeting. I just stepped into a room, so
ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ full
apologies.
in between books ಕೂತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವು. Thank you so much for your time. I think we'll keep it neat. And I know all of you are very busy in your campaign trails, but we thought we'll take this opportunity to quickly facilitate that conversation and then take this also conversation forward independently. Nanjunda avare, over to you.
Soumya Aure, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And hopefully we'll congratulate you once again. And for that, I would like you to make your pitch to our audiences why they should consider you to represent Bangalore South. So please.
Sure. So first of all, I really want to thank each and every one of you, BAF, Bangalore Apartment Federation, for being not just organizing this Zoom meeting today, but also being, um, because it's just so important for us to work together with the government, with the elected representatives. So you guys have been doing that for a really long time. In fact, thanks to you guys, in fact, Prof already explained, we have an apartment cell, and specifically also trying to work on issues that apartment residents are also like dealing with. And I just to kind of introduce myself. So ಮರ್ತೋದೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲಾ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲಾ ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಕ್ ಮರ್ತೋದೆ.
ಎರಡರಲ್ಲೂ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್.
ಓಕೆ ಸರಿ, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಓಕೆನಾ ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲಾ?
ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಇಸ್ ಓಕೆ, ಮಧ್ಯ ಮಧ್ಯ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರಿ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಹುಡುಗಿ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರೋದು. ಈಗ ನನಗ್ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನನ್ನ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ 2018ರಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನನ್ನ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಏಕೈಕ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಶಾಸಕಿಯಾಗಿ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಯಾಗಿ ಜನ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಯಾಕೆ ನಾನು ರಾಜಕೀಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, not because of course my father is a elected representative, but ನಾನು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ವಯಸ್ಸಿಂದ ಬಹುಶಃ I think about 7th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಾನು ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಸಮ್, ಸಮಾಜ ಸೇವೆ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್. ಇಲ್ಲೇ ನಾನು ಓದಿದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬನಶಂಕರಿ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್. ಸೊ ಒಂದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ದಯಾ ಸಂಘ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆನಿಮಲ್ ವೆಲ್ಫೇರ್, ಬೀಟ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್, ಮಾನವ ಹಕ್ಕಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದೂ ನಾನು ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದ್ ದಿವಸ ನನಗೂ ಅನಿಸ್ತು, and because at the end of the day I really firmly believe that it was so important for us to really speak up around about all the injustice that's happening around us. So ನಾನು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ 25 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನಗೂ ಒಂದ್ ದಿವಸ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು, ಆಸ್ I mean, who am I protesting in front of the government? And ಆ ಕುರ್ಚಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕುತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಐ ಸಾ ವೆರಿ ಫ್ಯೂ young people, very few women, and that's why I decided to take a plunge into electoral politics. And ಈಗ ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಯಾಗಿ as a MLA every single day, I mean, I firmly believe in bottom up. ನಮ್ಮ 75th amendment ಇರ್ಬೋದು, because I think it is just so important for us to actually figure out and discuss with people, and participative governance is really important. And to that, make sure to the best of my ability, be it government schools, be it healthcare, and also of course during COVID, and also of course all the development work, be it roads, parks, everything. And also at the end of the day, something that's really, really important is quality of life. ನಮಗೆ ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರು, ಗಾಳಿ, ವಾತಾವರಣ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದು ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗಂತೂ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಇರ್ಬೋದು. It is not just a Bangalore problem. Water. I think in many other cities also we are just like facing this, because in the past about 15-20 years, ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ನಿಮಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟು ಬೆಳೆದವರು. ನಮ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, ಈಗ ಹೇಗಾಗಿದೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಹ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ it's obviously taken a huge toll on the population.
Right. Sorry, I want to bring you into that. You've been up close as an MLA of Jayanagar, and now what do you see are the core problems of Bangalore South that you would like to take up, at least top 2 from your perspective, that you would like to address, you think are not addressed and you would want to address them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the main issues that we are facing is that sorry, one sec. Hello, can you hear me?
Very, very clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, there's just getting
just your video is frozen, but your voice is clear.
Okay, perfect. So I think the biggest issue that we are facing is at the end of the day, we really need a lot of things done. That is, because a lot of people have the population of our own city specifically. I mean, my my colleagues, my friends, Mr. Rajiv Gowda and of course Mr. Mansoor have spoken about many things in the past 1 hour. I don't want to repeat that. So just kind of like adding a little more to what they said. I think working towards, we as a team Bengaluru, and also we have been working on Vision Bengaluru, Brand Bengaluru with Mr. D.K. Shukumar as um, our Bangalore Development Minister. The one of the main things that we are facing is one is of course traffic, two solid waste management, three water, and of course infrastructure and many other things that actually we are facing as citizens every single day. And I think the biggest thing that we really need to work on is a lot of the things that will be resolved is are we as Bangaloreans, we as Kannadigas, the amount of money, the amount of tax that we are actually contributing to the country. We're, in fact, almost about second highest, if I'm not wrong. I think it's about 13,000 something is each and every one of us Kannadigas we're actually giving. But the amount that we're getting back is just about 13%. And of course, many other things that is actually issues is there is a delay in the construction of the metro. For the first time in history there is a civil structure, but we don't have, because of bad policy making, we don't have the metro. And of course the suburban railway, all of us in the civil society having talking about it, but we haven't even seen it in the and when is that really going to happen? And also I think I can just go on and on and on about many other things that the civil society is also like fighting for, that we as South Bengaluru, South citizens, and also citizens of Bengaluru in general, that we have actually gotten a raw deal is because, at the end of the day, what is the role of a member of parliament is to speak up for the issues of your constituency, to be accessible, to be committed. And I think at the end of the day, we really need to go and speak up in the parliament, work. There was a double engine Sarkara for 4 years in Karnataka. There was BJP over here and BJP at the state, but unfortunately, still out of 28, in fact, 25 are BJP, one was independent, one is JDS. But unfortunately, many things didn't, most of the things didn't get done because of, they really didn't speak up for us and things didn't get done. So,
just to put take your thoughts into climate change, because you've been an activist in the environment side as well. So what's your plan to address the climate change situation, particularly as an MP? And also coming from South, we clearly have had issues with the way lakes have been managed. So how do you, is there one or two plans, the definitive plans that you want to go forward with?
Absolutely. I want to request each and every one of you to share, to read the Congress manifesto that was released yesterday. In fact, not just environment, be it infrastructure, be it social justice, each and everything from a country perspective has actually been shared. So me as an individual, also as a representative of the state, as a person, I'm extremely passionate about the environment. And we have a Bangalore climate change policy. I think it is so important for us to really implement that, because ನಮಗೆ ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರು, ಗಾಳಿ, ವಾತಾವರಣ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತೀವಿ. So be it lakes, be it water, be it the increasing the green cover, I think it is just so important for us to really kind of. And of course there is also the COP that is being happening every single year, and our representatives are also being talking about it. But I think at the end of the day, we as citizens of Bengaluru, as citizens of our state, we need to start, and of course, as policymakers, we need to start. We need to practice what we preach, and we need to ensure that also we move towards clean energy. We need to move towards renewables, and and of course, I think I'll be happy to share more things. In specifically also about environment, about climate change, about, of course, solid waste management is a major issue that we are facing as citizens of Bengaluru. More than about 6,000 tons is being generated. And we as, citizens, especially working with the civil society, we've showed that, we've been role models. We've, in fact, Bangalore, in Karnataka, in Kormangla, we got an award 3 years ago called as a Better Together Award by the German government as, working with the civil society, citizens, and elected representatives. And I think we should really continue to do that with BBMP, with the state government, and at the center as well. And I think at the end of the day, all of us need to work together, because it is so important that each and every one of us, ಎಲ್ರೂನು ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸಂಘ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳು, ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಗರಿಕರು ಕೈ ಜೋಡಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ be it climate change, be it infrastructure, be it environment, be it traffic issues. And I think we really need to start, working together and come up with, good policies. And of course, also we need to strengthen, many things as well at the center. I will request all of you to also have a look at the manifesto that we have also released. And one thing that is also just so important is it is very important to be a proactive voice to champion the collaborative efforts of our citizens, and to ensure that there is not just development, but it is inclusive and there is growth as well. And also to talk a little
I
bit
also
about
wanted
the
to
74.
ask, would you be around? Would you be able to come back to take some questions? Because I see that you are in the middle of the Koramangala meetup. So would you be able to come back again in some time
I'm
to take the
trying my
questions?
best, because I've just stepped into a room over here, and
I
think, can I, Soumya, one question from my side before, of course, we let you. Is that okay? I'm from Bangalore.
Yeah, of course.
I'm very happy to know that at least our constituency has the youth factor going. Both, I think, all candidates, younger candidates. It's nice to. But one question that I had is, how do we get any thoughts on having more youth being engaged in the issues of the city, right? What is your sense? This is a large young population of the city growing. It is growing on the back of youth. What are your thoughts? How do we get them engaged, right? They need to be, if I were to use the word politically engaged, also be part of the city and have a voice and opinion. So your quick thoughts,
Hello.
Yeah, absolutely. I think below the age of 35, 40, it's almost like you rightly said, it's about 65% of the population. And I think it's just so important that because this is the youth is the future of the country. And frankly speaking, I started my activism, I started my work. In fact, I started working at the age of 19 from when I was in second year of college. And I think the best way to actually engage with youth is by, at the end of the day, they have a right to vote at the age of 18. So we have a lot of responsibility. In fact, the current youth, if you compare it to the youth of 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they're extremely proactive because of, and they're extremely, they're in fact participating in a lot of things as well. So I think it's, at the end of the day, it's really important for them to engage with them in society. Be it, in fact, a lot of them I've been working with them, in fact, as an elected representative. I've been doing internships as well, the solid waste management, and also be it doing programs, voter awareness, and also making sure that, the youth of the country is participating. The youth of the country is, at the end of the day, there are people from different backgrounds, different castes, different religion, different class, different language. And I think ensuring that, what a constitution says is talking about equality and talking about, and also ensuring that they have jobs, they have good access to good schools, healthcare. And I think they also realize that, and also including them in every single step is the way to go. And I have to get now because they're calling.
No, really appreciate making time.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, Namaskara. And I would love
Namaskara
to
and all the best.
again, if it's a possibility, in person or otherwise as well.
No, absolutely, Tommy. I think
We'll work on that and come back.
the idea is for this conversation to continue. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Bye. Take care. Thank you, Namaskara. Thank you.
Namaskara. Thank you. Vikram,
Nanjun
can
ಅವರೇ
you bring in?
ತೇಜಸ್ವಿ ಅವರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಈಸ್ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್. ತೇಜಸ್ವಿ ಅವರೇ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಗುಡ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ನೂನ್.
Still good morning.
12 ಗಂಟೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬಂತು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ತೇಜಸ್ವಿ ಅವರು ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? Of course. Nice and good afternoon, Tejasvi ಅವರೇ.
ಗುಡ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ನೂನ್ ಸರ್. ಸಾರಿ, ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟೋ ತನಕ ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಟು ಕಮ್ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಲೌ ಮೀ, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದೇನೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ನೀವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಎರಡು ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಸರ್. 2 in 1 ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ?
ಸರ್, ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಇಟ್. ರೈಟ್, ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು. Thank you for joining. From on behalf of BAF, I appreciate your joining in. I just mentioned about youth anta t-shirt hakondu correct agi bandidira. Thank you so much for please go ahead. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, thank you sir. ಇದನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಿರುಗಿಸಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಭಾಷಣ
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹತ್ರ
ಸೊ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್, ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜಯನಗರದ ಜನಪ್ರಿಯ ಶಾಸಕರಾದಂತಹ ರಾಮಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರು, ನಮ್ಮ ಸೋಮಶೇಖರ್ ಅವರು, ನಮ್ಮ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್ ರಾಜು ಅವರು, ನಮ್ಮ ಗೋವಿಂದ್ ರಾಯ್ ಅವರು, ನಮ್ಮ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ನ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದಂತಹ ಅಲೋಕ್ ಮೋಹನ್ ಸರ್, ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿ ಆದಂತಹ ಮುರಳಿ ಮೋಹನ್ ರಾಜು ಅವರು, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನೀವು ಆಸ್ಪೈರ್ ಓಕ್ಯಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫೆಡರೇಷನ್ ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪದಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಎರಡರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಜನ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ and giving me this opportunity to come amongst all of you and share these thoughts. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ತರದ ಎಂಗೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಈ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರೆಟಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಸೈಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಗೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರೆಟಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಸೈಸ್ ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಡುವಂತದ್ದು, ಸ್ಪೆಷಾಲಿಟಿ ಕೊಡುವಂತದ್ದು. ಈ ಕ್ರೌಡ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರನ್ನ 2ನೇ ಬಾರಿಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ನೀವು ಮತದಾನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾಕೆ ವೋಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಕ್ರೌಡ್ ಇದಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇಶ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಆಗಿದೆ, ದೇಶ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅನುಭವದಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಚೇಂಜ್. ನಾವೀಗ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದು ಮುನಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಏರಿಯಾ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ರೋಡು, ಚರಂಡಿ, ಮೋರಿ, ಕಲ್ವರ್ಟು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಕೇವಲ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಇಶ್ಯೂಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡುವಂತದ್ದು ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಅದ್ರ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್. ಈ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ವೋಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬರುವಂತಹ 5 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ದೇಶದ ನಾಯಕತ್ವವನ್ನು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್. ಹೂ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 5 years? It is to answer this very specific question that all of us will be voting on the 26th of April. So, 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ನಾವು ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ ವೋಟ್ ಹಾಕಕ್ ಹೋದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂತ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ಏನು, ಯಾಕೆ ನಾವು ವೋಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು, ಏನ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಮೊದಲನೇ 10 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ದೇಶದ ಚಿತ್ರಣ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನೆನಪಿದೆ. ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಗಳನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ, ಟಿವಿ ಚಾನೆಲ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿನ ಪ್ರತಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರದ್ದೇ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹಗರಣಗಳದ್ದೇ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿವಸ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. 2 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿ 2G ಹಗರಣ, 10 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೋಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾಮ್, ಆಗಸ್ಟಾ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾಮ್, ಈ ತರದ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಕಾಮನ್ವೆಲ್ತ್ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರದ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಿಂದ ದೇಶ ಇವತ್ತು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದು ಇವತ್ತು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ನಂತ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ದೇಶ ಇವತ್ತು 3.2 ಟ್ರಿಲಿಯನ್ ರುಪೀಸ್ ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಕರಪ್ಷನ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ, ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರ ಮೇಲೆ, even the most fiercest of his opponents cannot accuse him of personal corruption. ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪಾರದರ್ಶಕ ಸರ್ಕಾರವನ್ನು ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ನೆನಪಿದೆ. 10 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಬ್ಬ ಹರಿದಿನಗಳು ಬಂತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಯುಗಾದಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ದೀಪಾವಳಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತೊಂದಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಮುಂಬೈ, ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು, ಕೊಯಮತ್ತೂರು, ಜೈಪುರ್, ಅಹಮದಾಬಾದ್, ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಊರುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಂಬ್ ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟ್, ಟೆರರಿಸಂ ಚರಮ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ. ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಫೀಚರ್ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಬಿಲಾಂಗಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ಅಟೆಂಡೆಡ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಗಮನ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ನಂಬಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಟೆರರಿಸಂ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಜಮ್ಮು ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರ್ ಕಾನ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಟೆರರಿಸಂ ಇಂದಾಗಿ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಸಿವಿಲಿಯನ್ ಲೈಫ್ ನ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇಶ ಕಳೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಝೀರೋ ಟಾಲರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಟೆರರಿಸಂ. ನಾಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆರರಿಸಂ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸರ್ಜಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ಟೆರರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಶಕ್ತಿ ದೇಶ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ 75 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 10 years. ದೇಶದ ಇಕಾನಮಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 10 years 10 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ 5 ವೀಕ್ ಇಕಾನಮಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಫ್ರೆಜೈಲ್ ಇಕಾನಮಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿದ್ವಿ. We were one of the fragile 5 economies. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು we are one among the top 5 economies. We are the 5th largest economy, and it is Modi's guarantee that in the 3rd term India will be the 3rd largest economy in the world. Near double digit growth and well controlled inflation despite a global pandemic, despite the Ukraine-Russia war. This is efficient handling of the economy. ಇದನ್ನ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಂತ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ ಬೂಮ್. ನಾವು ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತ ನಗರ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು. ಇವತ್ತು ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೋರಮಂಗಲದಲ್ಲಿ, HSR ಲೇಔಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, JP ನಗರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಫೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಟೇಬಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಯೂತ್ಸ್ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಈ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೂಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಎ ಫಂಡಿಂಗ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಬಿ ಫಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, 3rd ರೌಂಡ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾಳೆ IPO ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. 10 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಈ ಯಾವ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ದೇ ವರ್ ನೆವರ್ ಅ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಯಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಸ್ ವೊಕ್ಯಾಬ್ಯುಲರಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ವೆಂಚರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್, ಏಂಜಲ್ ಫಂಡಿಂಗ್, ಬೂಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಪಿಂಗ್, ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಎ, ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಬಿ, IPO ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಮನ್ ಯೂತ್ ಲಿಂಗ್ವಾ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ, ವೊಕ್ಯಾಬ್ಯುಲರಿ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಚೇಂಜ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬ್ರಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 10 years. ಇನ್ನೇನು ಬೇಡ, ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಂದು ನಿಫ್ಟಿ 50 ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಫಂಡ್, ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳು 5,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ SIP ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ 2 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ 25%, 30% ಗ್ರೋತ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇಕಾನಮಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದೆ. We are creating so much wealth for the people of this country. ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ in the process of this wealth creation ನಾವು ದೇಶದ ಬಡ ಜನರ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅಭ್ಯುದಯ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. Last 10 years, if I were to list the biggest achievement of the Modi government, it is that we have lifted close to 26 crore people out of poverty. ಮುಂಚೆ ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಎಂಟ್ರಿನೇ ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶ್ರೀಮಂತರು ಹೋಗುವಂತ ಜಾಗ, ಸೂಟು ಬೂಟು ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂತ ಜಾಗ ಅಂತ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಝೀರೋ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಫೋನ್ ನ ಆಧಾರ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ 52 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನ ಬಡವರು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಬಾಗಿಲು ದೇಶದ ಬಡವರು ತೆರೆದಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಕಳೆದ ಸೊ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ 52 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಂದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ 52 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಇಕಾನಮಿಯ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆದ್ರು. ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಸಿಕ್ತು, ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಕ್ತು, ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಸಾಲ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲ ಸಿಕ್ತು. ಬರೀ ನನ್ನ ಲೋಕಸಭಾ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸೌತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳೆದ 3 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲಿಂದ ಬರೀ ಬೀದಿ ಬದಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆ 44,000 ಜನ ಬೀದಿ ಬದಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆ 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿಂದ 1 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಲಾಟ್ರಲ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಲೋನ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬೀದಿ ಬದಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆ. ಮುಂಚೆ ಯಾವ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬಂದು ಬೀದಿ ಬದಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿತ್ತು? The rich kept getting richer while the poor kept getting poorer. This was the crony capitalism of the UPA days. ಅದರಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತು ದೇಶ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್ ಆಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನರ್ಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮುದ್ರಾ ಯೋಜನೆ ಅಡಿ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಆಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನರ್ಸ್ ಗೆ, ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಯಾವ ಕಂಪನಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತವರಿಗೆ, ಸಣ್ಣ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಹಪ್ಪಳ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ, SHG ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಉಪ್ಪಿನಕಾಯಿ ಅಂಗಡಿ ಹಾಕಿ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ಅಂಗಡಿ ಹಾಕಿ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಹಪ್ಪಳ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಪುರುಷಗಳಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಸಾಲ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅದು ಬರೀ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಸೀಮಿತ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ರೂಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋರ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಲೋನ್ಗಳು ಸಿಗುವಂತದ್ದು ಹೇಳಿ 45 crore ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಮುದ್ರಾ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ. ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಸ್ಕೇಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್. ಇಡೀ ಯುರೋಪ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅಚೀವ್ಡ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ದ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಟು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ಪೋನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ ದೆಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ದೆಮ್. 75 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಜಮ್ಮು ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನಲಿ. 75 ವರ್ಷದ ನಂತರ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 370 ಅಬ್ರೋಗೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಜಮ್ಮು ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನಲಿ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಆ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ತೋರಿಸುವಂತ ಶಕ್ತಿ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ನಮಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದೆ. 40 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಆ OROP ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. 70 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಬಾಂಗ್ಲಾದೇಶ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಇವತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ 70 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಬಂದಾಗ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ನೆಹರು ಪ್ರಾಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು CAA ನಾವು ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತರ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ವೋಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ CAA ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತಂದಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು CAA ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ವಿಲ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ 40 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಸಬರ್ಬನ್ ರೈಲ್ ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇತ್ತು. 40 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗಳು ಬಂದ್ರು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗಳು ಬಂದೋದ್ರು, ಬಟ್ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಸಬರ್ಬನ್ ರೈಲ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾರಿಡಾರ್ 1 ಕಾರಿಡಾರ್ 2 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ನಡೀತಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ 40 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು ಕೆಲಸ. ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, 500 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭವ್ಯ ರಾಮ ಮಂದಿರ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಸಂಕಲ್ಪ ಇತ್ತು. ರಾಮ ಮಂದಿರ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ, ಫುಲ್ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ, ತಾಕತ್ ಇರುವಂತ ವಿಷನರಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಲೀಡರ್ ಇದ್ದ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಬರೀ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ 5 years ago all of you elected me. You made me your representative, you sent me to the parliament. ನನಗೆ ಬರೀ 28 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು ಅವಾಗ. You trusted me, you gave me the benefit of doubt and said we want to encourage a youngster. You sent me to the parliament. The last 5 years ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಿಂದ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿರುವ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ MP ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಳೆದ 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಲೆಜಿಸ್ಲೇಟಿವ್ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತಹ MP ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಯೋರ್ MP. ಕಳೆದ 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿರುವಂತ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಎಂಪಿಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಯೋರ್ ಎಂಪಿ. ಡೇಟಾ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಲಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಲಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಮಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಂಟರ್ಮೀಡಿಯರಿ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಡೇಟಾ ಪ್ರೈವಸಿ, ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಗಳಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಲೆಜಿಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ಬಂದಾಗ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಮಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಇಂಟರ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಊರಿನ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ದೇಶದ ಪರವಾಗಿ effectively done this over the last 5 years. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಬಂದಾಗ, because I always believe leadership is not tested during pleasant times. Leadership is always tested during the times of crisis. And ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ದಿನಕ್ಕೆ 4,000 5,000 ಕೇಸ್ಗಳು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಟೈಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ, that was when we all collectively stood to the occasion, stood up to the occasion. 30 ದಿವಸದೊಳಗಡೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜಯನಗರ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸೌತ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಹಾಳು ಬಿದ್ದಂತ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ರಿವ್ಯಾಂಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ 30 ದಿವಸದ ಒಳಗಡೆ 350 ICU ಬೆಡ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗಳನ್ನ 30 ದಿವಸ. ನಮ್ಮ MP ಆಫೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ 1000ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟರ್ ಗಳನ್ನ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟರ್ ಮಷೀನ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ we ran the country's largest MP office led oxygen concentrator bank. I can challenge ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿರುವಂತ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನರಲ್ಲಿ there will at least be one direct beneficiary, or ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ there will be a direct beneficiary. ಯಾರು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸ್ ನಿಂದ either ಬೆಡ್ ಅಲಾಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿರೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾತ್ರೆ ಕೊಡಿಸಿರೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟರ್ ಕೊಡಿಸಿ ಜೀವ ಉಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಜನರ anecdotal ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. 4.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೇಷನ್ ಹಂಚಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ಬಾಯ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ಸ್ ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೇ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ನ ತಂದು ಒಂದು ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ ಬಾಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸುಮಾರು 56,000 ಮನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ರೇಷನ್, ಮಾತ್ರೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಮ್ ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ವಿ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಮ್ಡೆಸಿವಿರ್ ಅಲೋಕೇಶನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದಾಗ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಜಸ್ಟಿಫೈಬಲ್ ರೆಮ್ಡೆಸಿವಿರ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಮ್ಡೆಸಿವಿರ್ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಬರುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. 4,000 5,000 ಕೇಸ್ಗಳು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಬೆಡ್ಗಳು ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾಗ, ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಕೇರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆದಾಗ, ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ಗಳು, ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ಗಳು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೆಡ್ ಬ್ಲಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಹಗರಣ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, ಆ ಹಗರಣವನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ 18 ಜನನ್ನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ 0 ಬೆಡ್ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಅದೇ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ 4,000 ಬೆಡ್ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಮಾಡಿಸಿರುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೂಡ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹಿಂದೆ ಬಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ನೆನಪಿ ಕಳೆದ 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಸಬರ್ಬನ್ ರೈಲ್ ತಂದ್ವಿ. ಕಳೆದ 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ 5,800 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಸ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮಿನಲ್ 2 ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ವಿ. And UNESCO recently said Bengaluru's airport terminal 2 is the world's most beautiful airport. 2014ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಬರೀ 7 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಲೈನ್. ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಆಪರೇಷನಲ್ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಲೈನ್ 78 kilometers. And in the last 5 years after you elected me, we got another 75 kilometers metro connection approved. Blue line, ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಇಂದ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು 34% ಸಿವಿಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಮುಗಿದೋಗಿದೆ. ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ 2026 ಹೋಪ್ಫುಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಹತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ 50 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಲಾಟ್ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಏರಿಯಾ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ RV ರೋಡ್ ಇಂದ ಬೊಮ್ಸಂದ್ರ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಯೆಲ್ಲೋ ಲೈನ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬೀನ್ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್. ಸ್ಟಕ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಕೆಲಸ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಏಜೆನ್ಸಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇತ್ತು. CRRC ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಚೈನಾದಿಂದ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಕಳಿಸಿ, ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ವೀಸಾ ಕಳಿಸಿ, ಟೀಟಾಗರಿ ಕಳಿಸಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ, ಮೆಲ್ಕೋ ಜೊತೆಗೆ BMRC ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ, ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ, ಇದೇ ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಲೈನ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಈಗ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ದಿನಕ್ಕೆ 4 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಲೈನ್. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಮೆಟ್ರೋಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಫುಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ BMRC ಗೆ ಫುಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ಫಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಐ ಗಾಟ್ ದ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಫುಲ್ ಟೈಮ್. SM ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅವರ ಕಾಲದಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ US ಕಾನ್ಸುಲೇಟ್ ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಎಸ್ ಎಂ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಕಾಲದಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ತನಕ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಬಂದ್ರು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಬಂದ್ರು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಬರಬೇಕಾಯಿತು. ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು US ಹೋದಾಗ he got approved a US consulate for Bengaluru. ಜೈಶಂಕರ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನೀವು ನೋಡಬಹುದು, ವೈರಲ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು your MP was behind me, single minded focus ಅಲ್ಲಿ got this done ಅಂತ. DJ ಹಳ್ಳಿ KJ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ರೈಟ್ಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಟೆರರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹೇವನ್ ಆಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ಸ್ಲೀಪರ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಗಳಿರುವಂತ ಜಾಗ ಆಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು, ಟೆರರಿಸಂ ಅನ್ನ ಬುಡ ಸಮೇತ ಕಿತ್ತಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು NIA ಆಫೀಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ನನ್ನ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ 3 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಅವರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ NIA ಆಫೀಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಇವತ್ತು ರಾಮೇಶ್ವರಂ ಕೆಫೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ NIA ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಮಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಗೇವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಟು ಸರ್ವ್ ಯುವರ್ 2,000 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಗುರು ರಾಘವೇಂದ್ರ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಹಗರಣ ಆಯ್ತು. ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿ ನಿರ್ಮಲಾ ಸೀತಾರಾಮನ್ ಅವರ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ರೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ 2,000 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಹಗರಣ ಆಗಿದೆ. 40,000 ಜನ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ಸ್ ರಸ್ತೆಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. DIC ಕಾನೂನಿಗೆ ತಿದ್ದುಪಡಿ ತಂದು, RBI ನ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ತಿದ್ದುಪಡಿ ತಂದು, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ RBI ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ತಂದು 50,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ನ 5 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಏರಿಸಿ 90 ಡೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 40,000 ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 33,000 ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಇಟ್ಟಂತ ದುಡ್ಡು ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರ್ಸಿ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿರುವಂತ ಏಕೈಕ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸೌತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಕನಕಪುರ ರೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರಿಟಿ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಕ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. 8 ವರ್ಷ ಜನ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, EMI ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬಿಲ್ಡರ್ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಫ್ಲೀ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. ಅಂತ ಟೈಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ 1,400 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ತರಿಸಿ 2021ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿಸಿ 2023 ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 2,000 ಮನೆಗಳ ಸಾಮೂಹಿಕ ಗೃಹ ಪ್ರವೇಶ ನಾನೇ ನಿಂತು ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಮನೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. This is what we have done over the last 5 years for Bengaluru and for the country. Today I come before you seeking a re-election. My only request to you is one day request. April 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು election ಇದೆ. April 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು it is not a holiday. April 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು it's not a long weekend. April 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ರಜಾ ಹೋಗುವಂತ ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ದಿವಸ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದು. April 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ನಾವು ಇನ್ನು 5 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾಮೂಹಿಕ ಭವಿಷ್ಯ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ದಿವಸ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ದಿವಸ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನನ್ನ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಇಷ್ಟೇ, 2019 ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸೌತ್ ತರ ದೇಶಭಕ್ತರಿರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞಾವಂತ ಮತದಾರ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಯೆನ್ಸಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ 53% ಪೋಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ 53%. ನಾನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸತಿ ನಾವು ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ 60% ಆದ್ರೂ ನಾವು ಪೋಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಐಡಿಯಲಿ 100% ಪೋಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ 60%. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗೋಣ. ಈ ಸತಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಹ್ಯೂಜ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಪೋಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಏನೋ ಉತ್ಸಾಹನೇ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? 100% ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಈ ಸತಿ अब की बार 400 पार ನಾನು ಸೀಟ್ ದಾಟಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಫುಲ್ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾವು ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಬರುವಂತ ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ, ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಗಿವ್ 1 ರೂಪಿ ಟು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ 100 rupees ಟು ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಊರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ಊರಿನ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಗೆ, ಈ ಊರಿನ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ನ ಫರ್ದರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. Only one message I will repeat again. April 26, make sure maximum polling is done. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ 11 ಗಂಟೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಪೋಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. 11:30 ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ನಾವು ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಗೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಭಾರತ್ ಮಾತಾ ಕಿ, ಭಾರತ್ ಮಾತಾ ಕಿ.
ತೇಜಸ್ವಿ ಅವರೇ,
one second sir.
ಅವರು ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ನಮ್ದು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡೋದಾ?
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. I'm just walking to the car.
Okay.
ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ದಯಮಾಡಿ ವೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅದಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕುತೂಹಲತೆ
2 minutes.
ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಬಡಾವಣೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ
Nanjunda avare, in the meantime, I think we will have top line questions, maybe 2 or 3 audience questions which is pending that we can sort of line up in next 10 minutes or so. Is that okay?
Can we kindly finish? I also am about to start a political speech. Let me have a platform for 10 minutes. I will tell you about my party, my vision, my agenda, the failures of the BJP. Give me that platform. Okay. I'm really very, very unfortunate that what was supposed to be a discussion on apartments has ended up being a platform for letting the BJP, peddle its lies in front of everyone. Okay. ಇವಾಗ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ನೋಡಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ನಮಗೆ ಫೈನಾನ್ಸ್ ಕಮಿಷನ್ ಗ್ರಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ ಬರ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಗ್ರಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದ ಬಜೆಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪರ್ ಭದ್ರಾ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ತರ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ವೋಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಅವರು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿರೋಧಿ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
Sir, Professor, I can understand your frustration, but we also have
no frustration, boss.
No.
When you create a platform, when you create rules of engagement, you please create rules of engagement for everybody. I do not want someone to be able to peddle their lies in front of everybody, and the rest of us who addressed you, who took the questions, who engaged with the key issues, have to sit back and listen while all sorts of absolute nonsense, fake news is peddled in front of all of you. This is not the way to go.
I'm sure. I think it is well.
Have you ever seen me angry, Vikram?
No, absolutely not. Which is why my request is, I think this is, our limitation is also to work around availabilities and formats.
Yes, and I've not gone on the campaign trail because I respect all of you and your concerns.
Thank you so much. So we will.
Sir. Hi, sir. I'm back. Sorry.
Sir, ಒಂದು 2-3 question ಮಾಡಿ we will wrap it up. Sorry, Professor Gowda.
Sorry. ನೀವು ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾಶ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು ಸರ್.
No. We will try and converge. Nanjunda avare, we want to do final 2-3 sets of questions as a broad agenda closing questions. I think we'll also start with Professor Gowda. We wanted to ask you that question, and I'm going to throw the same question to our Bangalore South candidate as well. In terms of the, I think there's a growing expectation of people to have commitment towards the BBMP layer being up and running, because that can have a lot more, obviously, day-to-day implications on operations of the city simply. What do you think is the commitment which can come through over there generally as we go to this Lok Sabha elections on that factor being ensured?
Well, as far as the Congress government is concerned, we are committed to conducting the elections to the BBMP as quickly as possible after the Lok Sabha election. We have done a more scientific delimitation and we are practically ready to roll.
Sure. Tejasvi avare, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು BBMP elections pending ಇರೋ ವಿಷಯ, I think a lot of people have been demanding for a very long time.
Sir, I am with Professor Rajiv Gowda on this. I'm a firm believer that democracy and democratic institutions have to be strengthened at the grassroots levels. The first level of accountability is the corporation elections. Adarsh Bega elections ಆಗಬೇಕು, and ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ದಲೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳಾಗಿದೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತಷ್ಟು ಅಕೌಂಟಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತಷ್ಟು ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 100% ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಸರ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ವಿತ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಆನ್ ದಟ್.
Correct. Nanjunda, any specific?
Tejasvi ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು specific question from one of the listeners. Sir, you in your talk, obviously you shared what all has been done in your term as a member of parliament. While you shared it, there is one specific question is about how much of MPLAT fund has been spent? Is that data published anywhere? Tejasvi ಅವರೇ.
It is that share the link with you, sir. ಎಷ್ಟು ಶೇರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂಡ್ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ನಾವು ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಏನು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಲಾಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಒಂದು 10 or 12 lakhs ಅಷ್ಟು MP ಲ್ಯಾಡ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ಅಲಾಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೀವಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ 2 ವರ್ಷ MP ಲ್ಯಾಡ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋವಿಡ್. ಇನ್ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಅದರ್ ದನ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನಾವು 10 or 12 lakh rupees ಇಸ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರ್ದಾರು ಒಬ್ರು ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ BAF ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬೀನ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ನಮ್ದೊಂದು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಕಾಪಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ, ವರ್ಕ್ ಡನ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು 125 pages ಲಾಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ MP ಲ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. I will share it again. Please go through it, sir.
One more question. Sorry, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಸರಿಲ್ಲ, so I'm just giving the questions out. With delimitation on the cards soon, South India is going to be impacted. As an MP, how will how will you address this?
Sir, the country's home minister, our party's very senior leader, Amit Shah ji, on the floor of the parliament has assured that whether it's economic or whether it is political, ಯಾವ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸದರ್ನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ರಮೈಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ವೇ ಅಂತ. As an MP from the southern part of the country, as an MP representing Bengaluru, it is my bounden duty to protect the financial interests, the social and political interests of the south of India. It will be done.
Tejasvi, one associated question, because we are all gathered today over here. I mean, ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಒಂದು ಕಾಂಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನಾವು BAF ಇಂದ ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, but I think broader than that is also our role as citizens. In some sense, Bangalore ge, ನೀವು already 5 ವರ್ಷ ನೀವೀಗ you've been your incumbent MP, but going forward next 5 years, considering the fact that there is tremendous amount of infrastructure pressure, environmental challenges, etc. ಏನು top priorities ಇರಬಹುದು for Bangalore for the next 5 years?
Sir, we have started thankfully ತುಂಬಾ ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ಮೋದಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂದಲ್ಲಿ ಶುರುವಾಗಿದೆ. ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಕಾಂಪ್ರಹೆನ್ಸಿವ್ ಮೊಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ 317 kilometers ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಕವರೇಜ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಿದೆ. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ಡ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ರಿಂಗ್ ರೈಲ್ವೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಿದೆ. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸಬರ್ಬನ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸಬರ್ಬನ್ ರೈಲ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಬಹಳ ಸ್ಲೋ ಆಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ರೈಡ್. ಅದನ್ನ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇಗ ಅದು ಮುಗಿಸುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ STRR 80 kilometers ನಾನು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದೀವಿ, ಇನ್ನು ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸುವಂತದ್ದಿದೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಕಡೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ವಾಟರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ. ಕಲೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಆಸ್ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ, ಆಸ್ BBMP, ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, MPs, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ದ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಫಾರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್. ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ವಾಟರ್ ರೀಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಿಸಬಹುದು, ಲೇಕ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿಸಬಹುದು. ಪಾಲ್ಟ್ರಿ 5% ಮಾತ್ರ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇವತ್ತು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಮುಂದೆ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಇದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಓವರ್ ದ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 5 years, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗಿರೋ ಒಂದು ತುಂಬಾ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಸ್ಟಾಟಲ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ primarily the domain of the state government, but still as a public representative from the city, I have been and I will push for a integrated agency and institution which will actually envision, plan and coordinate large infrastructure projects for Bengaluru. So I think mostly this is what I really think we should be focusing on in the next few years. Of course, there were challenges ittu, angel tax ittu, GST issues ittu, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಆಫ್ ಶೋರ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅವರು ಇಲ್ರಿ ಇನ್ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಇತ್ತು. As and when these things have come, I have always led delegations to different ministries, got those issues addressed, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. So we'll continue to do that.
Well,
Now,
you know,
GST issue
sorry,
is pending there, sir. So we will continue to follow up on that on a part.
Yeah.
I think Professor Gowda, I mean, similar question to you. Sorry, Nanjuna, if I can take that one also. Just as a vision and key top issues and priorities, Professor Gowda, which you think, I mean, and in some sense, your constituency, right, where North is now seeing the highest amount of sort of density growth, basically, right? If it was East and Southeast about 10 years back, North is having the maximum amount of conflict between development and this thing. So I think it'll be useful to get your thoughts on how do we balance that, right? We are all staying in the city. We are all residents of the city. We are part of the issue, but we have to solve the problem. So in some sense, I think how will the next 5 years, the vision, in some sense, what are the key challenges that I think I think our MPs needs to be focused on? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've addressed many of these issues earlier in the when I spoke earlier in the morning. Basically, what we need to do is also pay attention to the fact that Bengaluru is the growth engine of this country, and we need to go out to Delhi and demand a special grant for this city, because there's so much that we need to put in place in the context of infrastructure for public transport, in the context of sports and cultural facilities for quality of life. We need to bring in newer kinds of planning paradigms, which will ensure that we have sustainable growth as we move forward, that will be inclusive. We can't just focus on the richer segments of the population. We have to make sure that this becomes a blue-green city, a sponge city that can, enhance our natural strength with our lakes and with our greenery. We need to make sure that we are able to cope with climate change and what it's going to bring to us in the form of much more substantial bursts of rainfall. We need to make sure that the design of newer neighborhoods becomes like these 15-minute cities, which are walkable, which are non-motor transport friendly. Okay, I grew up in this city riding bicycles all over, getting caught for double riding by the cops, all these sorts of things. But why can't I ride anymore? Just because there's just too much vehicular traffic, the surfaces are not so conducive for bicycles, etc. Right? And we need to revive that Bengaluru, where it would be good for our health to be able to have fitter populations as well, people who can walk. Nowadays, we have this issue where even footpaths are not really navigable. We walk in the street instead, right? Now, a lot of these things can be fixed. One of the issues that came up was the one about coordination between agencies, right? And we, in our Better Bengaluru committee, have already come up with recommendations. This has been a central part of our state manifesto itself, that when it comes to Bengaluru, we will have an integrated command such that there is none of this, falling through the cracks, one person putting the tar and the other person coming and digging it up, right? We're not going to allow that to happen any further. So there's movement in that direction. We will implement that, very soon. But ultimately, I have ideas for the city that go beyond, issues related to infrastructure, right? If you think about, I'm a professor after all, and so I think about the intellectual capital that is there in this city. I think about the fact that the institutions that exist here don't interact with one another, that they're not stepping out of their campuses to inspire our youngsters about what careers in science can be, what applications of engineering can be, etc. What I would like to do with this larger Bengaluru platform is to actually work on creating the softer kinds of interventions, not hard infrastructure, but the softer infrastructure in interventions whereby the talent that exists can mentor the talent that is emerging. I want to do things that will turn this into an extraordinary hub of creative and innovative youngsters, right? I mean, that's the path ahead for us. And I think the population that we're addressing in the Apartment Owners Federation is very much a population that is ripe for, these are the people who should also step forward and say, how can we work together to inspire youngsters? How can we take what talent has earned us great accolades and returns on a global scale, how can we, demonstrate this and build bridges with others so that they can emulate us? Those sorts of other dimensions exist. Similarly, when it comes to culture, apart from Chaudaya in Bengaluru North, where are the other major cultural facilities? Where are, there are facilities in Sakar Nagar with my MP-led funds. I put in the floodlights so that people could play after they came back from work, right? Like that. We need sports facilities which are free and accessible to every one of our youngsters and older people like me as well. And basically, it's about quality of life, every dimension, security and safety. All of these need to be addressed, and I think we have concern and capability, and I think we will bring forward the kinds of solutions that will make this a prosperous, inclusive, sustainable Bengaluru.
So, there's one question common to both the gentlemen. I will read out the question from one Mr. Kamesh Rastogi, and this is the same thing which has been asked by many people here. And this is with regards to KCDC, Karnataka Compost Development Corporation. And I understand both of you are familiar with that. And the content would be that all party and the leadership of both the political parties and Karnataka know about this mismanagement, and 50,000 plus citizens facing acute stink and fighting for our fundamental right to breathe clean air. Current MLA, CM, many ministers, including RC, Mr. Tejaswi, Mr. RLR Ramling Reddy, BTM MLA, have seen it. He's also the minister, and have seen it and always talked during elections, but no respite to citizens since 2012, if not more. And even Pollution Control Board has closed their eyes and knows, and only respite left is to shut down KCDC. And we know it's mostly a state issue, but what can we expect from both of you? Who would want to take this first?
Let me start and then step away, because I've spent a very prime time with all of you happily, but I need to keep moving on to the next audience as well. Now,
Sincerely appreciate.
This particular issue is where some of these challenges arise, right? We want to compost. We want to make sure that our wet waste is handled where it is generated or in some slightly more centralized location. In the process, we have this stink problem that is a major problem for the residents around, right? So we need to improve the technological aspects of this. We need to try and bring in methods that will address this issue. This issue has arisen because it wasn't anticipated, and it should have been. But now that we know about it, I think we will reach out to expertise and to inputs from people who are better qualified than me on the technical side to figure out how to manage this. Otherwise, we'll have to find ways to reconceptualize the whole composting arrangement.
Mr. Tejaswi, are you there, sir? I
think you might have to drop out. Anyway, I think Nanjuna, we can probably do last couple of hand questions.
Chetan has raised his hand for a long time.
Yeah.
Sir, this is Sumukh here from Office of Sri Tejaswi Surya. Just to give you a small specific point, I don't mean to interfere regarding the garbage issue that was being this. I just want to give an update to everybody here that GAIL Gas has got a cabinet approval for establishing a waste to energy plant in the same area, where they are investing roughly around 300 crore rupees for the plant. The plant will come up within the next 1 year, and they will completely consume all the waste within 9 months of starting the plant. And further, the plant will continue to consume more than 5 tons of waste every day. And this already has been approved. Central government institution GAIL has already got a cabinet approval for that. Just a small update I wanted to share with you.
Well, is this in the context of KCDC?
Mandur dump yard issue.
Oh, okay. So any response on KCDC from the MP we can expect?
We'll take an update and
because what I didn't read in the question is that why should we vote if citizens are fighting for life? So people are really upset, and it's one common question among many people, and unfortunately this is a decade-old problem. So that's where you could please communicate to him. If not in this
Certainly.
platform, you can get this to respond by get a response from him. It will be really appreciated. And
Certainly, sir. Point noted. We'll ensure that he gives a response shortly on this.
please appreciate it. Yes, one Mr. Chetan Gopal. Should we just quickly move to Mr. Ranjan?
Yes.
He's there with his hand as well. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, my question is regarding, the revival of the lakes. In particular, actually, I wish there was someone from Bangalore Central talking about it. With respect to the Bengaluru Lake, the desilting, the recharging of the lake, which has been going on so very slowly that, the whole area today suffers with groundwater scarcity. Most people who have, let's say, bore wells are not dry. And there is a big scarcity of water in what Mr. Mansoor was just saying, that, one of the best tax contributing areas of Bangalore and all that, but really suffering, and the lake is seeing no really big progress here.
Well, Professor Rajiv.
Well, let me just say that, if you look at when the delays happened, it happened before our government came into play, right? Came into office. And we are trying to move this as fast as possible. We are very much aware that if these things get delayed, then the groundwater recharge doesn't happen, or it happens much more slowly. So we will be fast tracking it. There will be rain soon. We will be in a position to turn this around. Yeah, already, for example, on the other side, in Bengaluru North, in Kengeri, the Kengeri Lake, we started filling it with water now. So this will all. Bengaluru is our big in the city. It's quite a challenge. Yeah.
Professor, with your permission, can I also add a little context to that? It is more, I think, recent and contextual, Mr. Ranjan, because of the water issue, and in parallel, because the policy on treated water, reuse of treated water has found steam. In the last 1 month, you would have noted that, that permission has been given. I think there is a renewed push to look at specifically the Bengaluru Lake desilting process and get it ready for refilling one of the sources being also using treated used water. And of course, now there are many examples in different, including in North, etc., where lakes have been rejuvenated, Agara has been rejuvenated, etc. So I think there is some sense of urgency which has come in as far as we have noted because of one, the water crisis, which has given the awareness that groundwater recharging and lake rejuvenation is a very crucial part of the water balance. And second is the treated water importance to that, right, where we can use that as a potential rejuvenation input. Both have come together. I do only
Vikram, let me jump in here. If you look at what we did during the previous Siddaramaiah-led Congress government, we brought in the KC Valley project. We brought in the HN Valley project. These are projects where the treated water, what you're talking about, was pumped from one watershed across the, from one watershed to another, and then to fill up the lakes in Chikbalapur through the HN Valley and Kolar district through the KC Valley project. That's a very innovative and imaginative use of treated water. I think we need to do something with regard to Bengaluru as well. So in that context, I think there's much work to be done, but this is what you're seeing from our Congress government, innovative ways of finding solutions to persistent problems.
We anticipate that Bangalore itself will now be a demand for treated water rather than Kolar. So I think, yeah, to have local circularity, to be able to fill that in, etc., will be a natural outcome, is what I see. So that will go.
May I?
We had some audio issues earlier. Can I quickly ask a concern, please?
Please go ahead. Final thing, we called out your name, but you're not around. But yeah, please.
Yeah, I was not able to unmute, so I rejoined the meeting. I'm sorry for that. So the problem is unplanned development. There are areas of planned development. There is an approved layout. The layout is approved with an STP. The problem is that BDA then approves 3-4 houses on top of a site. So the STP only allows for one house per site. That is the volume it is built for. So how can BDA approve the layout with a STP, but not approve a single house on the sites on it? It's a gross misconduct and it's a big problem on the behalf of BDA. And it is a gross misconduct on the behalf of the government because we are not concerned about our environment. So
Right.
people in the interest of money will build 10 houses, but how will the STP be able to handle it? People in the interest of money will rent out apartments to 10 bachelors. How will the STP be able to handle that volume? So these are things I want government to take concern of. If required, please give guidelines to the RWA ourselves. We will take the responsibility like we have taken other responsibilities also. We will take the responsibility and keep the government informed when there is a problem. But please join hands with RWA to help build out a better future. Thank you.
We will do that. Bartine, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Really
Apart,
appreciate it.
apart from an issue that I had already expressed my views on, it was wonderful interacting with all of you. I look forward to continuously engaging, not just on the occasion of elections. We have been in touch, we've met, we've been moving some policy solutions forward. And I look forward to even more continuous engagement. And I'm looking forward to ideas from you about how we can, take in resources from Delhi and bring them to Karnataka, to Bengaluru. I intend for this to be, if you vote for the Congress, it would be a triple engine sarkar. We will come to office in Delhi, we are running the state, and we will win the corporation, and we will work together to make sure that Bengaluru grows in a much more inclusive, sustainable, prosperous manner. Thank you so much.
Great note to end on, Prof. Of course, you've been a friend of BA for a long time, so we wish you well. All the best in the hustle bustle of ground.
Sure. But I mean, while this is a policy discussion, maybe we should think about in the next few days, in the run up to the polls, how we can get more apartment complexes.
Absolutely, I think that's one of the things
the cluster meetings or something like that.
Working in the
meetings are getting harder and harder, given the traffic challenges and everything else. But
I understand that. I think what we are also doing in the background is to create a framework for meeting at a cluster level. Because it's good to speak to all the candidates and get to know them better. But thanks for your generous time today and patiently answering questions. Thanks, Nanjunda. I think you have craftfully navigated this 2 hours. It was a very engaging conversation. I think we got good perspectives from all the candidates who participated. Of course, some of them could not join in. They had shared their inability to do so as well. But my thanks to everybody. All candidates actually had very graciously responded to this thing. Many of whom made it today, few couldn't make it. So we will also stay in touch with them. And all the participants who came together as well, all our members, residents, I think a very patient audience. Many of your questions might not have been answered, but we'll funnel and collate all that. But as I started in the beginning and saying, this has to be an engagement, this has to be a conversation. We have to keep talking. Elections is one opportunity.
In this, I just want to have one thing, Professor.
Final word to you, Nanjunda. Thank you.
Well, just one thing. Would you be available to discuss Congress manifesto, Professor, sometime ahead after before obviously elections?
Let's stay in touch and see. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend. And yes, remember 26th. We have to bust the myth of getting a lot of people to participate. Right. So thank you all. Thanks, Nanjunda.
Thank you, Vikram. Wonderful. Bye, everybody.